This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
It's time for the Kelly Show. Kelly is an award-winning photographer and the owner of the website iloveclearwater.com. Doug is the author of 4 published books and a contributing editor for Florida Sportsman magazine. And now, here they are.
Here we are. I'm Kelly.
I'm Kelly's present husband, not the ex-husband.
Holy cow.
That was quite a faux pas, wasn't it?
Are you thinking of something subconsciously or something? What's going on here?
We were just talking about past things and families and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
As always, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Show. And we are both here with Big Ed Davis. He's the executive producer of the TAN Talk Radio Network. Ed,
howdy.
Yeah, he's our sports guru, among many other things. And
what things are those?
Well, the first thing I said when I walked in and said hi to Ed, he said, "Did you see the game?" And of course, he was referring to the Bucks playing the San Diego Chargers. And that went off quite well, did it not?
Yeah, and at halftime when we were losing, when it was 17-13, the Bucks were losing, I almost said, you know what? The second half's going to be a beating on us, and I think I'll go do something else.
Oh, no.
And I stuck around for the first drive, I think, out of the halftime, and then I think, maybe I'll stick around.
Yeah, there you go.
And I call those one of those feet on table games where you can put your feet up on the table and kick back and have a beverage because, it's all going your way.
Yeah. They pounded them pretty good in the second half. It was just a totally different situation, but that's great.
It's hard to fight because the weather's been about perfect outside.
Yeah.
Not too chilly, not too hot, but right around 75 during the day is perfect. So
yeah, I think you got a warm front coming, do we not?
Actually, no, we got a cold front
coming.
A cold front. Oh, I thought it was a warm
Wednesday.
one. Oh, okay.
This weekend's going to be pretty. I know the people up north are rolling their eyes at this one, but it'll barely hit 60, I think, on Saturday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Geez.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Life is ruined.
That's what heaters are for.
Do you have any big Christmas plans, Ed?
I have a Christmas party to go to Christmas Eve, and then we're celebrating Christmas Day. So
very good. What present did you get me? I spent $500 on yours. I hope you don't disappoint me. I really do. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
For now, before we get to our guest, who is a very interesting guest, and she's talking about something that's very important, we are going to go to an ad break.
So we'll be back right after this.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949 or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com.
What do the most successful companies have in common? They leverage growth by forming valuable relationships and partnerships. Amplify Clearwater puts you in touch with accomplished business and community leaders that inspires networking and helps you navigate the best courses of action for your company. Become a member and instantly acquire a powerful edge over your competitors by forming strong connections with top business leaders and elected officials. Amplify Clearwater. One community, one chamber, one vision. Contact us at amplifyclearwater.com or call 727-461-0011. That's amplifyclearwater.com, 727-461-0011.
Discover Clearwater like never before with iloveclearwater.com. Whether you're a resident or a visitor, our website is your go-to source for all things Clearwater. Find the best hotels, restaurants, parks, shopping, and events all in one place. Dive into our engaging photos and videos. Explore over 500 informative articles. Visit iloveclearwater.com today and experience the best of Clearwater. iloveclearwater.com, your ultimate guide to Clearwater for fun, sun, and smiles.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey, thank you for joining us today on the Kelly Show. Believe it or not, we're coming up on our 9th, is it 8th or 9th year?
Ninth year in June.
Good Lord. Can you believe it? It's amazing. But we've enjoyed it. It's been fun meeting a lot of people. And thank you for listening in and hearing what's going on in our community and hearing from some of the leaders in our business and community industries, you might say. And also people who are sponsoring events and charities. We like to give them a shot to get on the radio and talk about what they're doing. But anyway, Kel, let's take it away. We got a great guest today.
We do. Dr. Wendy Hutkin. She is the leader of Run for Their Lives in Clearwater. Wendy, welcome to the show. Should I call you doctor?
You can call me Wendy. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background, your family. Were you always in Clearwater?
Okay. So, well, first I want to just say thank you for having me here.
Sure.
I'm really here to speak about the hostages. And so thank you on behalf of the hostages and their families. And so they're grateful to have the opportunity to share and have awareness of them. No, I'm not always from Clearwater. I was born and raised in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I've been here, I'd say about 15 years I've been in Clearwater.
Okay, perfect. You like it, right?
Love it. Yes.
Okay. All right. And your doctor, because I didn't know you were a doctor. What is your doctorate in?
So my doctorate is in education, and I specialize in literacy and teacher education.
Perfect. And your family also is here in Clearwater. Okay. So what is Run for Your Lives? Their lives.
Run for their lives. So Run for Their Lives is a grassroots initiative. It started after October 7th. So for those who don't know, October 7th, 2023, there was a massive attack on Israel, and 255 people were kidnapped, and over 1,000 were murdered, sadly, at that time. So what happened with Run for Their Lives was it was a group of people in California that were runners, and they wanted to do something. How can we help? Nobody really knows how to help. Everybody's like, do we send money? What do we do? So they decided maybe we can just raise awareness. And so some of the people, because of their connections to Israel, decided we're going to start Run for Their Lives, and they're going to jog and run, have shirts made, and start wearing pictures of the hostages. And it spread. And so it's purely a grassroots program. There's really two parts to it. One is just community awareness. So we're here in Clearwater, the boots on the ground. We have a meeting place every week. We meet and we show the posters, and so that our community knows there are living, breathing human beings that are held hostage. But then also we use social media to keep raising awareness as well.
Okay, and I want to clarify that these people are from different countries and different religions.
Yes. So the attack happened on October 7th, but there were people from 24 different countries that were kidnapped. And so they're of different faiths, different religions. They're Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, Christian. It didn't really matter who you were just taken. Some people were not alive and they were taken, and some were alive and they're still held captive. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your question, but what surprised me, and it didn't really hit me until I looked at that poster. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can see that's a child.
Yeah.
So children too.
Children. So initially when they were, when the initial kidnapping happened, there were, I believe, 255 people were kidnapped. Some were entire families. We have grandparents that were kidnapped, children. The youngest hostage, you'll see his picture there, is Kafir Bibas, and he at the time was 9 months old. So that's Kafir, and this is his brother Ariel, who at the time was 4 years old. And one of the famous images is of their mom, Shiri, and she's holding, they're adorable little redheads, and she's holding these two redheaded babies. And this all happened at like 6:30 in the morning. So she's there in her pajamas with a blanket wrapped around her, and she's holding these two babies, and terrorists are like trying to lure her and to go and violently take them away.
Wow.
And the entire family is still missing.
Where did this happen?
This happened. So this happened in Israel. There were several kibbutz, and a kibbutz is like a sort of like our version of an off-the-grid community is how I think of it. Mm-hmm. In southern Israel, there's communities all along the southern border, and they're like self-sustaining communities. So they farm. A lot of them are artists. Most of the people that live in those communities, they do live close to the Gaza border, and they actually are peacemakers. So a lot of them bring Palestinians over for medical care to Israel. Like they actually are the people that want peace, yet they were attacked. And so, yeah, this all happened in southern Israel.
Okay.
What's kind of scary about the whole thing, too, is we can't appreciate, luckily, what hell they're going through, the hostages. They're in these tunnels that are dank, probably not temperature controlled worth a darn. Who knows what they're fed, if they're fed even enough to exist on, or they're starving. It makes you really worry and encourage programs like yours to help them.
Yeah, well, especially they say like winter's coming, and to be in an underground tunnel in the winter, even though Israel has coasts, it does get cold.
Yeah.
And so the people that have returned, whether they were rescued or released, they've all reported that there's an extremely lack of food. They had like a pita bread a day. Somebody maybe had a cucumber a day. And so you have these young babies. There's no way they're going to, be healthy and survive on that. Yeah. And it's, very cold. And some of them have not seen sunlight. They've literally been in a tunnel for 437 days.
Wow.
That's tough. That's
so
really
they did release some. And how did they get lucky to be released?
So initially, obviously there were lots of deals being made by leaders, but after 55 days, there was a large release, which was, so it happened October 7th. And I believe like late November, they started some phases of releasing them. So they released a lot of children, pretty much all the children except for Kfir and his brother Ariel. I mean, they had like 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, some not even with their own parents. Some were isolated, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
How frightening must that be?
Horribly frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's one little girl. Her name was Emily. And so her story was her father, he wasn't with her at the time she was abducted and kidnapped. And he assumed, I don't know, maybe they killed her. And so he was actually praying that she was murdered instead of being taken because he didn't want her to be tortured. And so he was like, I hope that, it's all over with and there's no pain. And, but then they found out she was alive. And so that was quite joyful for him.
Boy.
And she was in part of that release. But when she came home, she was completely silent. She would whisper because she was, her captors, and you were not allowed to talk at all. And so she learned some Arabic, like certain phrases she would respond to. And she was just really afraid to speak because she was conditioned that for 55 days.
Wow.
Tough. That's really tough. And this is an international.
Yeah. So this is a completely international humanitarian crisis. The hostages are from 24 different countries. Some of them were people that came just to work on farms in Israel. So there's a lot of Thai people that came. And so there's a lot of farming that goes on in Israel. And so some of them were just there to work and, help their own families. And they were abducted as well. Some of them have dual citizenship. Yeah.
Being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
Yep. Just a bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame. Well, we hope programs like yours put pressure on public officials and others to keep this on their mind.
Yeah, we hope so.
Not let it drop onto a back burner, and it needs to be addressed. And who knows? As we all know, Trump is coming in to office in a couple of weeks, and he's without a doubt pretty tight with Netanyahu, and I think that's going to pay dividends going down the road in terms of dealing with the terrorists.
We hope so.
Yep.
We hope so.
Yep. Very good.
So, Wendy, how and when did you get involved?
So I got involved. I have been to Israel prior to October 7th. And so in 2019, I went to Israel and fell in love with it the minute I went there. And it's beautiful. I love the culture, the history that's there. And after this happened, I was like everybody else, just scratching our heads, wondering, like, how can we help? What do we do? And I just happened to be looking online one day, probably in December of last year, and saw this initiative, Run for Their Lives, and thought, okay, people walk or run. And so I was, you can go on a map, you can go to runforlives.org. And I was looking for a local chapter here, which there was not one.
Oh.
So I said, So the next click was, you can be a leader. And I sort of pondered for a moment and I said, well, I'll find out. And so sure enough, they did not have a leader in the area. And I said, all right, I'll do it. There's no playbook for this. And
make it what you will.
Yeah. And it's the beautiful thing about it is Run for Their Lives. It's not political. It's not religious. It's not about, government and politics. It's really about a global humanitarian crisis where there are hostages that are held. And so all of the leaders, there's groups across the globe. So there's several groups in Germany. We have Australia. There's Mexico. There's Canada. Anywhere from Connecticut to California. I mean, it's all over the U.S. And so every weekend, we all lead our walks. And then after, we all upload our pictures to like a private chat. And so we see pictures from around the world of everybody. Yeah.
So you don't have to be a runner.
Right. So you do not have to be a runner. Yeah, that's a big question that comes up. Even though it's called Run for Their Lives and it started out as runners initiated, no, we actually walk, and most of the groups do walk. Yeah. Okay. So we really walk. We hold posters up and we just help people see the faces of hostages.
That's perfect.
That's touching,
Mhm.
Yes.
without a doubt. Yeah.
So 230 groups worldwide.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you do on each run or walk? Just hold the posters up?
So most walks here in Clearwater, we gather first. So, the walks I feel like for a lot of the groups, especially ours, is not just for the hostages, but it's also been a safe space for people here who really have compassion towards what is going on. It's clearly, there's a war going on. So a lot of times we'll gather. I will update things about different hostages, whatever, maybe there's some current news about hostages. Sometimes we'll say some prayers. There are actually Hebrew prayers for hostages, which is a sad thing that's a concept that you can have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll say some prayers for the hostages, families, just some gathering things. And then we go and we walk in an area where people can see us in downtown Clearwater, and we hold their posters. Sometimes people hold American flags. We have flags of some of the different countries that the people are from. So we try and really help the public understand that this is not about one issue or one group of people. It really is a global issue with people from all over.
What's been the public reaction from our community?
So our community, I am so happy to say, has been incredibly positive.
That's good.
Yeah, we get, it fills your bucket, and we get lots of horn honking. That's how we know. And so we get lots of horn honking.
Lots of thumbs up.
Thumbs up. One time we were out there and somebody took out their own flag from their car. It was an Israeli flag, and they were waving it.
Cool.
Yeah, we've had people who saw us walking, continued on and made a U-turn and came back to find us because they wanted to thank us and join us. And that's happened more than once.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah, our public here, I would say, are extremely supportive. There are some other communities where they've had to hire some security and they've had issues. It depends on, like downtown areas or more metropolitan areas. But yeah, thankfully for Clearwater, we are very supportive.
That's good. I just have to interject here that our Facebook went down. So I put it back up, but you could see the whole uninterrupted one on YouTube. So in case you want to share it, YouTube.
Yes.
And I will post that later on the Kelly Show Facebook page, that link. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Do you have something to say?
Well, only that, do any of the people on your walks know some of the hostages or the families of the hostages?
So a lot of the hostages, they're quite far removed from us necessarily, but one of our walkers does have a family friend of one of the hostages. I wrote his name down. So Amiram, and he's one of the hostages that is no longer alive. He was murdered, but still held in captivity. So a lot of times she'll have his poster. And, these are people that they want to lay their family members to rest, and they can't because they're still held in captivity. Mm-hmm. And so, that's definitely...
That's cruel.
Very cruel.
Very, very cruel. So,
why would somebody get killed if they were a hostage?
So there's lots of different scenarios that happened. So some of them could have died in captivity because they have no medicine. So nothing has been brought to the hostages. There's been no, United Nations, UN, nobody has seen them.
Red Cross,
nobody has visited them. So there have been hostage families that have packaged up the medications that these people take. Some were diabetic. Mm-hmm. I know one of them, I think, needed gluten-free food, whatever, celiac disease. None of the medicines have been provided to them. So asthma, imagine being in a dark, damp tunnel and you have asthma. And so some of them have just died because they're ill. Others are purely murdered.
Okay.
Or resisting, maybe trying to break.
Maybe they just didn't like what they did and they'll just shoot them. There was actually, so one of the stories that happened, there was 6 hostages. So a very famous hostage was Hirsch Goldberg Poland. Have you guys seen him? Mm-hmm. So this is Hirsch.
Point it that way. Sure.
Hirsch he was an American hostage. He was amongst the 7 American hostages, and he was one of the first footages that in the early days we saw. There was a bomb shelter. Israel has lots of bomb shelters because missiles do get
rain down
on them. And so it's common practice that sirens ring and you get to a bomb shelter. So he was in a bomb shelter with one of his friends. His friend Honor, I believe, did not survive. They threw bombs at them and he lost his life. But Hirsch tried to push back the grenades that were thrown at them, and it worked. He pushed some of them back, but I think the final one, it blew off part of his arm. But Hirsch was then loaded into the back of a pickup truck with his blown off arm, and you can see all the goriness. Yeah, totally gory. And he actually, like, a news reporter saw this and connected his parents to him, and they didn't know that there was a proof of life until the news reporter realized that that was their son. Then a proof of life came. So after, I don't know, I would say 6 months or so, a proof of life video came, which is also propaganda that the terrorists use. And so it was him on a camera, and it's definitely a scripted thing that they make them say. You know, they discount their government and you forgot about me, all that stuff. But you see his blown off arm, it closed up and healed, but he's probably, I think, 23 at the time. I mean, a young kid who went to a music festival, lost his arm, survived in captivity, gave us a proof of life. And at 11 months in, he was murdered. So he made it 11 months. And then once soldiers came, they found him, and there was a total of 6. So we call them the Beautiful 6. And this is the 6 that lost their lives. They survived. So Alex, Almog, Carmel, Ori, Idan, and Hirsch, they survived 11 months as hostages and fought for their lives. And they were definitely murdered, and there was proof of the murder, sadly.
Wow. Well, it's hard not to be where you want to strike back so badly. And I guess there's some options coming up as to what to do with the Iranian nuclear facilities and stuff. So that'll be interesting going forward. But it's got to make you rage.
It's horrible.
Well, when you hear these type of things, it just gets to you.
We are going to take a short break, and we'll be back to hear more of the hostage stories from Dr. Wendy Hucken.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Just about everyone is fascinated by the mafia. Books and movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and many others became bestsellers and box office hits. Did you know that a century ago, mobsters like Al Capone discovered Florida's tropical climate and sparse law enforcement? Mafia bosses from around the nation began setting up illegal operations in Florida. Now, for the first time, a new book titled Sunshine State Mafia, A History of Florida's Mobsters, Hitmen, and Wise Guys provides vivid stories and never-before-seen images of dangerous criminals who settled in Florida full or part-time. Written by renowned author Doug Kelly, Sunshine State Mafia exposes the hidden history of the mob throughout the state and includes Doug's own brushes with crime figures. Sunshine State Mafia is available at all major book retailers, or obtain a signed copy by calling 727-724-4949 or email sunshinestatemafia@gmail.com.
What do the most successful companies have in common? They leverage growth by forming valuable relationships and partnerships. Amplify Clearwater puts you in touch with accomplished business and community leaders that inspires networking and helps you navigate the best courses of action for your company. Become a member and instantly acquire a powerful edge over your competitors by forming strong connections with top business leaders and elected officials. Amplify Clearwater. One community, one chamber, one vision. Contact us at amplifyclearwater.com or call 727-461-0011. That's amplifyclearwater.com. 727-461-0011.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with Doug Kelly and Dr. Wendy Hutkin. She is talking about Run for Their Lives, and it is a grassroots group. Well, I'm going to let you tell us what it is.
Yeah, it is a grassroots group that is raising awareness about the hostages that are held in Gaza currently.
Okay, and there's about 100 of them.
There are 100 of them.
That are still, do we have any proof that they're alive?
So there are 100 hostages held. However, not all of them are alive. Some we know are no longer alive, but we do have some proofs of life. One of the hostages, his name is Matan, and there was a proof of life video, I would say about a week and a half ago. And it was his family's first time hearing or seeing. And so it was a propaganda video where he stood, sat in front of a screen and pretty much read a script of what he was told to say. But we know that it's current because they have him talk about some current events or the day that they've been held in captivity. And so, he looks pale and not healthy, and he wants to come home. He was taken hostage, and his girlfriend was also taken hostage, and she was released at 55 days. And so she's advocating for him. All of their families pretty much have had to give up their jobs, give up everything, and they just have to travel the world and speak to leaders to advocate to find a way to bring them home.
The ones that have come home are advocating.
They're advocating, and the families of the hostages.
Okay.
But some that have come home, they definitely speak publicly and they share their stories.
Okay, so where are these videos sent? To the news stations or to the families?
So probably news stations. I don't know where they originate. A lot of times what happens is there's an organization called the Hostage Families and Missing Families Forum, and they are the ones that they always sort of have the official release if whether or not the families agree to share it. So some may have received videos, but they don't publicly put it out there. And so it's just their comfort level whether or not they want the videos to go public.
Okay. And how the release people, they have said who is left behind. So you already know who's left behind. What are those people like? Are they women, children?
So there are women. They're young women. We have 20-year-old women. One of the, I would say, girls, even Nama Levy, she's when she was taken, I would say she's 18 at the time. Hers was a very popular. So what happened is the terrorists or Hamas were filming themselves and putting it on air. So they were live streaming on Facebook, and there's a video of her coming out of the back of a Jeep, and her clothes. I mean, it was very brutal.
Has there been sexual abuse?
Yes.
I mean, it'd be hard to believe they
Yes.
don't.
Yes,
They
and
haven't.
it's been documented from the people who have returned. So yeah, for sure.
Just adds to the horror.
Horrible. Yeah. So imagine your family member and, or Nama's brother is advocating. Imagine, he's advocating for his sister to come home, and he knows, Lord only knows what's happening. And people have said like they could be pregnant by now. I mean, we just don't know what their conditions are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some are sick.
Some are sick. Yeah, there's definitely sick. One of the girls, Mia Shem, she was released. I don't remember her release date, but she said when beautiful young girl in her 20s, whatever transpired when she was taken from the Nova Music Festival, her hand was literally hanging off, and they took her and they brought her to a hospital in Gaza, and for 3 hours they operated on her, but it was completely botched. Like the surgery they gave her, no anesthesia, things like that.
No
so
anesthesia.
she wears, so she has to wear like one of those tight sleeves.
Oh, yeah.
And so, she's come to the U.S. and tried to advocate on the hostages' behalf. But some of them are definitely, there was another hostage, a girl, Maya, and her brother Ite. They were both taken, and her conversation with her dad was recorded. So he was recording with her on the phone, and she's like, they're here. And at one point she got shot, and she literally says to her dad, I'm dead. And off she went, was abducted into Gaza. And then when she too, something happened with her leg, and horrible surgery. So she was released. Her brother was released. I think the two of them didn't even know that both of them were alive until they got to Israel, to the hospital, and were reunited. And she's had like metal poles on her leg. She had to have significant surgery to recover from that because the injuries were so bad and there's just not medical care for them.
So they didn't know that the other was alive. They're not all being held in one tunnel.
No. And it's probably purposeful, like part of the poor treatment. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep them separated so they can't, revolt, I guess, or do anything, or the less they know, the better, I suppose. But
well, even there's a whole family. So the little babies here, Ariel and Kfir. So this is a whole family. So this is mom, Shiri, and dad, Yarden, and Kfir and his brother. That's parents and their little babies.
Can you hold that up? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. There we go.
Is that
Perfect.
good? So what happened was this was the mom, and she was held with her little redheaded babies. Dad was taken separately. There's actually videos of him being like hit on the head, and his head is bleeding. And I believe one of the propaganda videos was of them telling dad that his kids are no longer alive, and they just want to capture that emotion, sadly, of, that alone is just
Grief.
torture.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know the status of his children, and we don't know the status really of any of them.
And for those who may not be up on the news, whatever, this occurred on October 7th.
Correct.
And it was a party. It was a party being conducted outdoors, and the terrorists, the Hamas terrorists, learned about it and came rushing in and grabbed not only hostages, but they murdered a bunch of people too, even babies.
Lots of babies.
It's just barbaric.
2023. So how many days has it been?
Yeah, so this is, I wear 437 days.
So you're wearing that on your shirt.
Yeah, so Hirsch, one of the American hostages who lost his arm, his mother has just been like the champion, such grace and poise, and advocated for all the hostages, including her son. Unfortunately, she didn't get him to come home alive, but she started wearing the tape every day. And, in some ways it just helps you get through it. Be like, all right, another day. And this probably started a little earlier than the 100-day mark. So the fact that we're now at 400 something days. So it's become a symbol for people who support the hostages it's over a year. And so the Clearwater group, our Run for Their Lives group, has been walking every Sunday since January 14th of last year.
Okay.
So every Sunday we walk and we do this, and it's been exhausting, but we have a really dedicated group of people. And when I signed up to do this in December of last year, I think that I'd be here a year later still advocating for them. But we say, we won't stop till they all come home. And so, these are human beings that their families and loved ones are waiting for them. So,
do you walk on main streets so people could see you?
Yeah. When we first started, we walked in a park in Clearwater, and like I said, there's no playbook for this. So I went. There's no funding or anything. So I went and had some of the posters printed. I had them laminated. I gave them out to people and sort of led what seemed like the right thing to do. And we walked around a park. And then we started to go onto a main road. We were on Gulf to Bay at one point, and we were getting some horn honking. So we were, getting a little braver. And then after that, I decided let's take this a little bit more public and see. Safety is always first. So Run for Their Lives. Whole organization is just safety is number one. And if something ever feels not safe, we'll retreat back and but we communicate with the police and things like that and let the community know. But it's been very safe. But I think it's, we want the community to know about these people.
Okay. So there was a recent discovery of 6 dead hostages that were discovered by the Israeli Defense Force in a tunnel in Gaza. Can you tell us about that scenario?
Yeah. So that was these guys. These are, we call them the Beautiful Six. And
the Beautiful Six.
Yeah. So what happened was like we said, they survived 11 months.
Yeah.
I think that the terrorists thought that perhaps the IDF was getting close to them, and they just didn't want them to survive and make it. I don't know why you would hold them that long. But they were found in a tunnel, shot in the head, things like that. It was pretty bad what they did. Yeah. And so this hostage, Carmel, so this is Carmel Gott, and she was visiting her family's kibbutz at the time, and she's like a world traveler. She was a yoga person. She taught yoga. And so the people that were released, especially the children, reported back that she helped calm everybody in the tunnels, and she would do yoga and breathing exercises and help calm everybody while they were captive. And so that became a big global movement where people would do yoga in honor of her. And we did one of those sessions here in Clearwater, and we had a yoga session and dedicated to her and all of the female hostages. And after 11 months, she didn't get to come out alive, sadly.
Yeah, that is sad. It reminds me when you said you're going to keep doing it until they're all back. It reminds me of, you wouldn't know this, but a lot of people who, and I wouldn't either, I wasn't alive back then, but during World War II, there was a real famous song called Over There. You ever hear it?
I don't know.
Over there, we're the thump, because the Yanks are coming. Anyway, it was a whole song that energized the country, to unite and stay united as we were during that war. But having that resilience to keep at it and keep at it, not be a one flash in the pan, I think will pay dividends for everyone. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Wendy, since October 7th, you went to Israel. What was it like traveling to a country that's at war?
It was, a very different experience. I was in Israel before, so I had some sense of, what it was like there. And had I not gone, I don't know if I would have been going to the unknown. But Israel is a very resilient country, and they do live amongst sirens, and they have bomb shelters. And so they have to be strong and not, cower to things. But normally when I went in 2019, it was more like touring and seeing sites and learning about the history. This was a very different experience. I really went to bear witness and to learn about where these atrocities happened. And so part of the trip was I went to the Nova Music Festival site. And so the concert you were talking about, it's literally just fields. So when terrorists were coming and there's missiles and all these people with guns coming at them, they had nowhere to run. It's just open fields for miles and miles. But they tried to recognize the people that were lost or hostages. So all of the people that are either murdered or held hostage, they all have like a little post at the area there with their pictures, and it's a place that their family can come and remember them, or, just have that space for them. So that was one place. And then I went to one of the kibbutz. So I went to Kfar Aza, which is one of the kibbutz in the south. And Kfar Aza.
What's a kibbutz?
A kibbutz is like a self-sustaining community where they farm, they'll have artists, they'll have metalwork, and their houses. I mean, literally, this could be a house here, and right next door is your neighbor. And sometimes the young people live in its own section. So, but they're, they live in these beautiful communities.
It's all self-sufficient then.
Self-sufficient.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've noticed I repeated a question, and so did he, that we've already been given the answer to. But this is so shocking and so horrifying that it's not processing right away.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lot.
And yeah, so you went to the kibbutz.
Yep. So I went to the kibbutz, and wow, it was bombed out. I mean, completely decimated. Like, you see bullet holes in the buildings. You see, families' clothing. You'll see a baby bottle on a shelf, and the part of it is crumbling because not only did people have guns, but they threw grenades in these people's homes. Like, these are just family homes. These are just not, it's not the army or anything. Yeah. It's just homes. Like, they went into neighborhoods and at 6:30 in the morning and just attacked them. And in Israel, they have safe rooms because of the missiles. And so the safe rooms are built to protect from missiles, not necessarily to protect from a live terrorist walking on your sidewalk. And so they knew that they would get the people out if they set them on fire, because while you're in your safe room, smoke inhalation. And so a lot of them, either they died because of smoke inhalation and it burned, or they had no choice but to break through their own window and get out. And once they got out, they were captured. And so
it's shocking to me that this still goes on. Wow.
Well, especially on the face of a music festival, which everyone's happy and, not expecting something that horrid.
Yeah, these were 20-something kids who, just like a concert here anywhere in the world, went to have fun. They wanted to, enjoy their lives and celebrate. And a lot of them are peacemaking kids. They travel in the world and go to these, a lot of them, it's like an all-night rager, things like that. And who would have thought that they'd be under attack and taken captive?
For sure. Where else did you visit when you were there?
So one of the places I went, and I don't have the pronunciation of it, something with a T, but it's so what happened was, all of the cars, when people went to the Nova Festival, they drove to the festival. And so when the sirens were coming, they shut the festival down and said, please leave, it's not safe. So they all got in their cars and left and realized there's nowhere to go. So they all got out of their cars, some obviously not quick enough, and their cars were all burned. And so Israel had to decide, what do we do with these cars? But when they were investigating the cars, they found out not only were the cars burned, but there was special chemicals used to incinerate the cars. So whatever human beings were inside of them, they wanted to completely eliminate them. And it's really torturous. So so they have all these burnt cars, and they're stacked. And if you want to bear witness, not that that's something you want to do, but, it's evidence of the atrocities that occurred. And so there's ambulances that are burnt up, there's cars, there's family vans. And that's one of the other places I saw. And then I went to a morgue. So you don't usually go on an international trip, and we went to a morgue and saw where a lot of, the people that are recovered are processed.
And you talked to somebody at the fence?
Yeah. So while I was at Kfar Aza, the kibbutz, a woman there, her name was Chen, and she's still living there. So most of the people at the kibbutz, they're all displaced. So we have thousands and thousands of people that are no longer able to go to their homes. So they're living in hotels, they're completely displaced. But this one woman stayed. She wants to kind of look over the kibbutz. So she toured us around, and we literally were by the fence of the Gaza border and talking to her. And she was saying how I think 64 people in her community have, either they were murdered or hostages at the time when I spoke to her, but 5 people from her community are still hostages. And so there's posters from her community of the 5 people. two of them, it's a set of twin brothers. So they're like mid-20s, twin brothers. And then there's one of the females. And another one is an American. So there's actually 3 presumed living Americans. There's 7 total Americans that are still captive, but this is Sagi Dekel Hen. He's an American hostage. And then we have Keith Siegel, and he is an American hostage.
64.
Yeah, 64. His wife advocates tirelessly for him. And Idan Alexander, who's 20 years old, young kid, he is, he's an American. Keith's wife, Aviva Siegel, she was a hostage as well. She was one of the ones released after 55 days, and she speaks a lot. And she wants her husband home. She misses him dearly. Like the love that she has for him, you can just tell how much she misses him and adores him. And but she talks a lot about what she saw with the female hostages, and the treatment that they're getting is not good.
Yeah, pretty depressing, that's for sure. When you were there to see the destruction, were any of the historic sites ruined or damaged?
That's a great question. So, I went to Jerusalem and the Western Wall, and thankfully that has been preserved, and there were no missiles. I mean, they certainly get alarms all over. Just this morning, actually, like I'll see the news and you'll see the little red dots of where there's missile alerts, and like they were completely under blast today.
Oh my God.
Today, this morning. Yeah, at 7 a.m. there was sirens all over the country. So yeah, there lots of missiles coming. But
I just can't even imagine living in those circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, so when I went in 2019, I went on a trip and I was with a tour, and there were no missiles or anything. And the last day before we were leaving, we were all having breakfast, and it got quiet, and I didn't know why. And then people, were like, there's missiles. They're attacking us right now. And I was like, okay. And I'm a pretty calm person. And so I was like, all right, this will be okay, And then I got a text message from somebody in the US who I don't regularly talk to. And the fact that somebody in the US saw it on the news and I'm here during a missile attack, that's when my heart sunk. And I was like, okay, this is real, real life. And we had to go to the airport at that time. And so it was a little nerve-wracking and then friends of ours took a cab. And the cab driver literally said to them, okay, if there's missiles, we're going to stop the car and you're going to get out and lay down and you protect your head, because if anything happens, you want to protect your head. And yeah, there's a whole drill, and this is a way of life in Israel.
Wow.
That's tough.
So we're getting close to the end, but how can people find out about more for Run for Their Lives?
Yeah, so Run for Their Lives, you can go on to, and it's the number 4, so runforlives.org. And you can do any of the walks across the country or globally. You can write to the White House. So absolutely write to the White House and help them advocate to find a deal to get the hostages home. You can follow on the Missing Hostage and Families Forum. They update lots of things. You can go on to Hope for the Hostages, which also talks about, who they are, and you can learn more about all of their stories. So
that's hopeforhostages.com.
Yes.
And also a hashtag, bring them home now.
Mm-hmm.
Bring them home now. And you can also write to President Trump.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen, thank you for being with us today. Thank you, especially for our guest, Kel.
Thanks, Dr. Wendy Huck.
Dr.
Thank
Wendy
you.
Huck, and
Thanks
thank
for
you for
having
being
me.
here. Very, very great work you're doing.
Thank you.
And just
Thanks for
remember,
listening to the award-winning
We're
Kelly
out.
Kelly Show on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.